Hello, BookTube. I think I mentioned yesterday, a horrible beginning to yesterday. Just awful. The type of thing that is going to happen to you if you go out into the world where there are people. Which is why I scarcely ever do it anymore. Because once you go out into the world with people, you are surrounded by people who don't know what the F they're doing. And if you rely on them for knowing what they're doing, you're going to be royally sidetracked. And that happened to me. It was a mess. It was a nightmare. It was a tangle. It left me angry but flailing in a way that's not useful to anybody, including me. And then someone, a person who shall remain nameless, stepped forward to offer all sorts of real-world practical assistance in smoothing out that complication. This person has been referred to by many of you as my other half. He's been referred to by some other people as my boyfriend, or even my boy toy. And one of you last year, in an absolutely beautiful night fork of an insult to both of us at the same time, referred to him as my gay uncle. I will not name this person, but he stepped forward and did as much as he could to clear away the problems that infested yesterday morning, so that maybe they wouldn't reinfest this morning. And as much as could be humanly done was done to make that happen. And yet, there were still complications. So I felt that I was obliged to go to the Brattle Bookshop and give myself a restorative browse. Now, even that turned out to be wrong. Even that turned out to be screwed up. Because it wasn't all that restorative. No fault of the Brattles, but it wasn't all that restorative. It was a beautiful Saturday morning, so the place was swarming with people. The aforementioned people, who entirely block aisles that are only, an arm's length wide, and don't pay any attention to someone wanting to get by, who, when you're going down the aisle and you're right next to them, say, "Excuse me," they shift on their axis, like that. So they're not actually moving at all. You have to say, "Excuse me," again, and they look up and with ostentatious irritation, and then they realize, oh, I have to get out of the way. I can't just sway back and forth like I'm at a Coldplay concert. I have to actually move my feet. And so on and so forth. There were a ton of people. There was also a parade one street over from the Brattle Bookshop that had actual cannons going off, and the sale lot where I spent so much of my time was infested with people. I could hardly turn around. And perhaps worst of all, I had to wait in line to check out. So even that wasn't as restorative as I wanted it to be. I did two things to turn that ship around. I did two things that were guaranteed to make me feel better, even about a crowded Brattle visit on the weekend. God help us. Why? Well, I know why. I had to do it. I literally had to. I had an errand somewhere else. It wasn't the Brattle. I did two things that are guaranteed to pull me out of that kind of a funk. Number one, I sent books to somebody, which I love to do. Absolutely love to do it. My poetry guy is probably shouting at the screen right now saying, well, you got a funny way of showing how you like to send books to people since you've been meaning to send books to me for a long time. But that involves going to the post office. So Brattle will mail them right from the shop. I know. I have a lot of books for my poetry guy that I have not sent. I will. But that's one thing that always perks up my spirits, to send people books. And the other thing was to get a bunch of books on my own so that I could talk to you about them and restore my spirits. So I'm hoping that will happen. And needless to say, I will not be going out into the outside world forever. Forever. Again, I can't, it will be a long time before I go out into the outside world again, which I know is wrong. I actually know that's the wrong thing to do. I can see from 30,000 feet that the irritations that I went through today, they were egregious by anyone's measurement. They were egregious. But I know they would have bothered me a lot less if I'd encountered them while I was still going out into the world every day. You lose your tolerance for such things. I know the last thing in the world I should do is stay in for the next 2 weeks. But anyway, I got a bunch of books. Had a blast. thinking about them. I didn't have a blast getting them because I was elbowing past Clem Cadiddlehopper and his wife and their 15 corn-fed children. I didn't have a fun time getting them. I didn't have a fun time waiting to pay for them, waiting in line. I didn't have a fun time getting the back here, of course, because it's 85 degrees, but I'm going to have a fun time talking about them with you. So let's look at what we have here. So, okay, we started off with mass market paperbacks. I got a bunch of Trollope in the Oxford World Classics Centenary Edition of Trollope that are so good. They're these ones with the yellow spine. Oxford did everything by Trollope except his biography of Cicero. I think they never did that. But they did everything else. They did all the fiction and the autobiography. I think even travel sketches. Maybe not the travel sketches. So maybe not, other than the autobiography, maybe not the non-fiction. They did all the fiction, and the introductions and notes are amazing. And the next iteration of Trollope that they did, they changed both the notes and the introduction. And I've read them back to back, and I think by and large, these Yellow Spine Oxford World Classics are the best edition of Trollope that you can get. So I got The Struggles of Brown, Jones, and Robinson. A little thing, to hardly take us any time at all to read aloud. Speaking of reading aloud, I got The Claverings. In these, a bunch of these things were just there on the card, so I grabbed as many of them as there were there. There were a whole bunch of Penguin Classic Trollops there, and in the black spine, and also Penguin themselves did a complete Trollope set in orange mass market paperbacks that have no individual covers. They just have Trollope's face on every cover, and they're numbered on the spine. I cannot imagine. I hated those things when they were coming out. I've hated the look of them ever since. I can't imagine anyone would prefer them. But they had a lot of those too. But I got just these, because I once had all of these, and I foolishly got rid of almost all of them. I got Framley Parsonage. These lovely floppy yellow things. I got the Vicar of Bullhampton. Bunch of standalone Trollops that will serve us well when we are reading them. And the Bertrams. And I can't help but think that the fact that these are standalone Trollops is part of the reason why they were there at all. I imagine that the Oxford World Classics version of these things with the yellow spines of the two series, I imagine those came and went right away. That's the thing about the Brattle, is that you got to grab things right away or they'll be gone. And I imagine that's what happened. But that's okay, because I have those. I kept those. So those were the mass market paperbacks. I know I say I'm not going to get any more mass market paperbacks. This is a kind of exception. One of the only exceptions I can think of. The other exception, I guess, would be old science fiction paperbacks that literally don't exist in any other format and don't exist in ebook. So that old anthology series, The Best Of, for instance, with original cover artwork and then an anthology of individual science fiction authors, I would buy those still, because those don't exist as ebooks and they're never going to be reprinted, although they should. But then the next three paperbacks that I got, I was looking at the dollar carts, and I saw this gigantic block of terrific 20th century Chaucer studies. And Chaucer's one of my favorite authors. And I've read all three of these things many times. I checked to see if any of these were mine. There's no chance that they would be. Mine died in the Mississippi, I believe. But I got them all because they were all right there at the same time, and they are fun to read on their own. If you're really into Chaucer, I got a Companion to Chaucer Studies, which is a whole bunch of individual pieces by different scholars on different aspects of Chaucer's work. I got Chaucer Sources and Background. Again, the same thing, just a bunch of scholarly essays on Chaucer, on his life, his times, his world, all of his literary influences. And then D.W. Robertson, the great D.W. Robertson, his book, A Preface to Chaucer, which is him. It's all him throughout, and it's designed when this first came out. Oh God, what was this? 1960s? 1962. This book came about by Robertson being asked over and over again by students, but also by older people that maybe just a little guilty about not knowing Chaucer or not having even read the Canterbury Tales. People would always come to him and ask him the same question they asked me, which is, what do I need to read before I read Chaucer? And he got that question over and over and over again. And there was, keep in mind, no Wikipedia at the time. There was no anything like that. So he decided to write what you need to know to read Chaucer. And he, I believe, if I remember correctly, he prefaces the book. Certainly he prefaced it in conversation, always, with saying that you don't need to read anything before you read Chaucer. At all. Read the general prologue to the Canterbury Tales, and even in, like, for instance, a modern English version, like by Neville Coghill, read it and you will see. You don't need anything. But if you want to know everything that was involved in Chaucer's world and his religion and the politics of his time and whatnot, if you want to know that, well, I'll write you a book. I'll write you a preface to Chaucer. So I found all three of those just sitting together, and they were perilously close to the dumpster at the back of the sale lot, and I hated the idea of all this first-rate scholarship going to waste. When I don't have any of them, they're $1 a piece, and I'm sure that I will enjoy going over these things again. As much as I know them. I think I probably know Robertson's book better than I do the other two, but it's been a long time since I read any of them. So, what else have we got here? Okay, I found a hardcover of Jane Langton's book, Murder at the Gardner Museum. The Murder at the Gardner. This has illustrations by the author. Very good illustrations by the author. And this is about the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum here in Boston, which is an amazing location. It's something you definitely should see. You should put it on your short list if you're coming to Boston for a visit. It is an amazing experience. It's an amazing experience. In addition to being a great art museum, it's an amazing experience. It's an aesthetic experience in a way that, for instance, the Museum of Fine Arts, which is just a block away, is not. The Museum of Fine Arts is a gigantic state-of-the-art building designed to present the perfect atmospheric and climatological and temperature conditions for the works of art that it houses. The Gardner Museum is a work of art on its own that happens to have its walls festooned with art. Oh, baby, what are you doing? Gonna go over there? Mm-hmm. Isabella Stewart Gardner, that's her in the painting on the cover there, left strict instructions about the Gardner Museum. That it was nothing in it was to be moved, nothing in it was ever to be loaned. You weren't to rearrange the artwork at all. It was to stay the way it is, or be broken up, or the whole museum be broken up. And in this murder mystery, to start with, someone is moving things around secretly, moving things around at the Gardner, and that's no real big deal, but it does get Jane Langton's sleuth Homer Kelly and his wife involved. I've never been much of a fan of Homer Kelly as a sleuth. He doesn't seem very good at anything that he does. His wife is, but why not just make her the character then? And at first it seems very minor stakes, but then someone is killed, brutally killed. And so now there's definitely a murderer on the loose. And I love this book. I don't quite know, now that I think about it, this came out in 1988. And I don't quite know why I grabbed this. I mean, I think it was $1. But I love the green spine Penguin mass market paperbacks. Probably that's another mass market paperback set that I would definitely grab if I ever saw it. I never see those in the wild anymore. Never. A lot of you will remember what I mean. They were little green spine floppy mass market paperbacks, and maybe it's just that I never seen Jane Langton out in the world anyway, in any form. So I grabbed this because I kind of miss reading these books from time to time. Her evocation of the atmosphere of the Gardner Museum is incredible. It's incredibly good in this book. I don't think the murder is all that good. The murder mystery, I don't think is all that good. But then I don't think her murder mysteries ever are all that good. I think you really go to these books for the atmosphere. You certainly don't go to them for the razor-sharp detection skills of Homer Kelly. But I think that's why I grabbed this, even though there is a format out there that I would infinitely prefer. I also don't know if Jane Langton exists as an ebook. Any of them do. I don't know if they exist as ebooks, and if they did, would they have her artwork? Because her artwork is really good. Let me get you there you go. So maybe I grabbed it for that reason. Also, there's a bit of piercing melancholy in this book. Because 2 years after this book was out in hardcover, what was this hardcover when it first came out? It was $17.95. And 2 years after this book came out, there was an art theft at the Gardner Museum. Thieves let themselves in, or were buzzed in, and overpowered the security guards after closing, and stole a whole bunch of stuff, including a couple of absolutely priceless works of art that will never be seen again. And those works of art are described in this book. They were pride of place. Storm on the Sea of Galilee by Rembrandt was pride of place at the Gardner, and they are described in this book as if they're never going to go anywhere. And no one could have known. No one could have known that crime was going to happen. So I don't know. I don't quite know why I grabbed it. I'll reread it, but I don't think I'll keep it. There's no chance that I will see all of the Homer Kelly books in hardcover, and I wouldn't want them anyway in hardcover. If I want the whole set, I want all those paperbacks. Then I found a hardcover of Margaret MacMillan's book War, which is not very long considering the weightiness of the subject, but boy oh boy is she good writing about military stuff. Boy oh boy is she ever, in a way that is rare. We mentioned that the other day when I got that World War II book written by a woman. It doesn't happen much, even now, when all the editors and sub-editors and proofreaders and bosses at every major publishing house are all women. Every agent, every literary agent is a woman. And the colleges and universities where military studies will be taught are entirely staffed by women, not just in administrative roles, but also in every classroom. There are no men doing any of this anymore, and yet men seem to still be getting the contracts for military history. Now, of course, keep in mind, I'm not saying it's healthy that women entirely dominate the publishing industry and have told each other in what they think is private text messages that they don't even consider submissions by men. I don't think that's healthy. That's, of course, very unhealthy. That's as unhealthy as its obverse was 100 years ago. Two wrongs don't make a right. You can't prejudice yourself out of prejudice. And I also don't think that it's right that academia is completely choked by this kind of retributive swing of the pendulum or whatever it is. I don't think any of that is healthy, but that is nevertheless the case. And so it always strikes me as odd that Margaret MacMillan would not only write a book on war, previously solely the precinct of men, but that it would be so good. That part doesn't surprise me because I read her other books. She's terrific. And I love this book. I couldn't, when I saw it there, I couldn't remember if I had it as an ebook. It's the one book of hers that I would want to have. So I grabbed it. Oh, all right. Okay. These next two are trade paperbacks. I grabbed them because there was no way I was going to tempt the gods by leaving them. But they are incomplete. I got an incomplete set. And like the Homer Kelly book, they also aren't the form that I want. I had these once upon a time, garnered from the Brattle, probably 20 years ago. No, more than that. Oh, more than that. 25, 26 years ago. I grabbed them because I couldn't not, but I doubt that I will see the volumes that I'm missing volumes that I need. I got John Ehrman, was a British writer, and he did a big 3-volume biography of William Pitt the Younger. That is absolutely definitive and also terrific, blisteringly detailed, just blisteringly so, It's an amazing feat of biography. And I had that set. No idea what became of it. Probably it died in a fire. There was one particular fire I had where the books weren't actually burned. Instead, they were destroyed by the fireman's hose, which blasted through the window of the front living room, across the front living room, in a nice little arc, and smashed endlessly for an hour against my biography wall. So probably these died then. But they were... The Younger Pitt, The Years of Acclaim, The Younger Pitt, The Reluctant Transition, and The Younger Pitt, The Consuming Struggle. And I got The Younger Pitt, The Reluctant Transition. He's had no stuff on the cover, just a painting on the cover. But you see there the 2 stars. I got volume 2. And I got volume 3, which just has Pitt on the cover there. I got volume 3, but these trade paperbacks broke up the 3rd volume into 2 volumes. So if you got the whole trade paperback set, you would have 4 books. This is... Let me see if I can show you. This is the... Volume 3 is the first, and then Volume 4 was the second half of the consuming struggle. If that any of that made sense. I got these because I never, ever see them used. God only knows what the 3 hardcovers cost online. But I got them because I was kind of sort of hoping maybe, just maybe, that if I grease the wheels, the Brattle gods will provide either the 2 volumes that I am missing, Volume 1, which is about Pitt when all the world was before him and he could do no wrong, and then Volume 4, which is Volume 2 of Volume 3. I was hoping either that I would find those 2 volumes that I'm missing. Maybe they were in a different part of the store or whatnot. Maybe I will find them. Or that getting these things will grease the wheels so that the hardcovers, the 3 hardcovers will show up. Which would be great. That's what I would want. It's those 3 hardcovers. But anyway, I got them, and I don't have any illusions that these trade paperbacks. Look at that. These things are not going to hold up at all. So if I read the earlier of the 2, I might try to resist the urge to annotate, because all those annotations will have to be copied over if I ever find the hardcover. And I hope springs eternal. I hope that I can someday find the hardcover and give this all a reread. And then the final thing I got, I really needed. I had, like I mentioned, a rotten morning. And it was rotten despite the efforts of 2 people in 2 different time zones working for hours. It was still rotten. Through stupidity, deception, and incompetence, it was still rotten. And so I really needed this particular voice. I've had this book before, but I never really keep it. But I saw it today and thought, oh yes, I need your company. When it comes to the normal question of a Brattle book haul, which of these is going to join me in the little book room tonight? No doubt, no question at all. It's going to be this. Harold Nicholson's diaries and letters. Specifically from 1939 to 1945, when he was a backbencher in Parliament, but had entree to... talked with everyone, and had entree to everywhere. From Windsor Palace to everywhere, to every country seat in the country. He was extremely well known, as was his wife, Vita Sackville West, and welcome everywhere. Despite the incredible acerbity of his pen in these entries, he was an immensely likable guy. Actually, both he and Vita Sackville West were. They were an immensely likable couple. An odd couple, very much so, since both of them pursued affairs with people of their own sex. And yet, both of them were also incredibly in love with each other, which really comes through in these letters. But oh my God, Harold Nicholson, when he comes home from a day and decides to write up that day in his diary, sometimes he can be very brutal and direct, but other times he is mercilessly funny, just incredibly funny, mocking his colleagues in Parliament, or the insanity of international events as the war years darken. And I found this a perfect condition hardcover, and the minute I saw it, I realized, oh no, this is the sort of thing that you want to read. This will even your keel after a horrible morning. So I grabbed it. So I often say, people often ask me, what are the best books on World War II? And also, over the decades, people have asked, what's the best fiction on World War II? What's the best World War II novel? And I always want to tell them, well, I can recommend World War II novels. I can certainly do that. But in terms of a novel reading experience, in terms of the pacing and the dialogue and the constant scene shifting and the arc of personal development and the way that tragedy intersects with happiness and absurdity, in terms of all of that, you want Harold Nicholson's War Diaries. That's actually what you want. They're on the surface, they look like the last thing in the world you would want to read. Like the most history buff thing, but no, they are absolutely spellbinding. And they are significantly helped in this volume. I don't know if you'll be able to make it out. Every single thing is footnoted. Everything that you could possibly not know is footnoted. So that you're not slowed down at all in the reading of this thing. So that worry, if you had that worry, thinking, well, I don't know, never heard of Harold Nicolson before. I don't know anything about his job. I will be at loss. I would be lost with this volume. No, you wouldn't be. No, you wouldn't be at all. I certainly won't be. So this is going on the pile for tonight. And that was my Brattle book haul, which was on a crowded, hot Saturday in the mid-morning, not the first thing in the morning, but the mid-morning, after having been royally PO'd for a good solid 2 hours. Anyway, so we have Harold Nicolson's Diary, The Warriors. That's great. We have John Ehrman's two of John Ehrman's volumes on Pitt the Younger, which is one of his volumes in hardcover and one half of one other volume in paperback. We have War by Margaret MacMillan. We have Murder at the Gardner in a hardcover. We have a bunch of Chaucer scholarship, just classic things. Maybe some of you were actually assigned some of these books when you were reading Chaucer in the 20th century. And then finally a bunch of Trollope, which on its own probably would have picked up my spirits eventually. And if I hadn't found the Nicolson and really needed that, I would probably be turning to Trollope tonight. I will anyway. There'll be some Trollope on the reading tonight, I'm sure. But Harold Nicolson's book is just going to be, it's going to be just the thing. Not always for the wisecracking and the joking. When he was feeling despair over the course of the war, losing this territory or that territory, he was perfectly happy to admit it. Of course, there's a quiet kind of devastation during the letters and diary entries when Virginia Woolf kills herself. That stands out in my mind, even though it's been a long time since I read this book. So it's not all jokes. It's not all Chip's canon. But boy, oh boy, will it do. Will it hit the spot. So there you go. There's a Brattle book haul for you. So I'm going to wrap this up, and I don't know when my next Brattle book haul will be. I have no impulse whatsoever to go out into the broader world. None at all. Several times a day, take my little bean on walks into quiet suburbs in the middle of the day where everyone's at work. There are no dogs, there are no cats, there are no people, there are no cars, there's no nothing. Just us wandering around in the leafy lanes talking to each other. That, I think, is going to put me on my feet. But anyway, I'll wrap this up for now, but I'll be back.